So we are top of the league.
Yeah, great win for us today, coming from 1-0 down to beat West Ham 3-1. Your thoughts on the game?
Well, from my point of view, I thought in the first half we were over-elaborate around the edge of their penalty box. One pass too many, they weren't shooting often enough. The second half, they fucked that up. It looked like it was going to be one of those nights to start with. We had a goal disallowed correctly, and then they got a penalty also correctly, and then ours was turned down also correctly. And going in 1-0 down at half-time, you're thinking, well, we've dominated the game, but we haven't really looked that dangerous. And all those comments about, well, without Jesus, Arsenal are going to struggle. The second half, there was a degree more of urgency about the play, and they were building up much more quickly. They weren't making so many passes. And Odegaard, I thought in the second half particularly, was outstanding. He ran the game, and in the end we thoroughly deserved to win the game by 3-1. And a quick word in for Eddie, because he was a bit off in the first half, some lovely touches, but around the box he wasn't quite getting to it, but he stuck at it and he took his goal superbly. Really was the defender and took it brilliantly. And also a big congratulations to Beth Mead, BBC Sports Personality of the Year. Well done, Beth, we love you.
You mean guest Mead, right? Viv's guest.
Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah, no, it was very much a game of two halves. The first half we looked like a team that hadn't played competitive football together for 6 weeks, and in the second half we looked like we remembered the Arsenal we've been this season, and it was a pleasure. I'm not sure. I thought there was a little bit of fortune in the through ball to Saka for the first goal, but once he was there and he took it, that was it. We sort of clicked back into gear, and it was a pleasure to see Arsenal return. First half exactly. We were on top without doing much. Eddie, I said he'll, give him a bit of time to build in to play with these players. You can see when he plays with better players, he'll get into those positions and he's going to get goals. There are things you can't replace Jesus because of all the things that he does and the way he brings. Several managers have called him the best pressing attacker in the world. Eddie will try, but what Eddie gives you is Eddie is a top finisher, and you get him in and around the box and give him some chances, he'll score goals. I thought Odegaard was really unlucky not to get one. He definitely deserved it. For me, player of the second half, but a much better team performance. I was pleased to see Saliba didn't drop his head after a silly challenge for the penalty, and it shows that obviously some of the things that he's got to learn is about not diving in from that. But he will, he's only 21. And long may it continue. Pleasure to be here when Arsene returned as well. Nice that he got a rousing reception from the crowd, thoroughly deserved. Hopefully he'll come back more. And from where I was not far from where Thierry was doing his TV bits as well. So that was quite nice to see some of the legends of the game from the club coming back and enjoying a great return. And hang on, the table, I just wanted to have a look at, we're top, just in case you missed it.
8 points clear as well.
I think it's 7 because Newcastle won.
Sorry, 8
ahead of City.
8 ahead of City.
8 ahead of City now.
Look, it's looking great, but the main thing was after the start we've had to the season, and then we had the break for the World Cup. Everybody was saying, it's vital when it recommences. We've got to get going. We've got to hit the ground running, and we have done with an excellent performance against what I would say is a fairly rugged West Ham team, and they certainly gave Martinelli some treatment in the first half in particular, and knocked him about. They were terrified every time he got the ball. And I'd also like to say I had a great view of that little bit of keepy-uppy that Ben White did. It was absolutely, it brought a round of applause for everybody. It was brilliant. And the confidence in the defence, you can see it, and you can feel it in the ground. Whereas before, when opposing teams broke and we only had 2 back or even 3, people were, you could feel that, this looks dodgy, but this time you didn't feel that. There was confidence there. Saliba was outstanding the way he kept cool and controlled the ball, turned and beat players. And you think he just put it in Rose Ed, but he's got the confidence to go with his ability. And the second half in particular, they were really outstanding, Arsenal, and it could have even been more. Fabianski made a couple of really good saves. And but you know, it's still early days. We've got to take it one game at a time. But each game we win and we get closer to the finish line, you feel that little bit more confident.
A couple of other little props to give. There was one brilliant bit where Odegaard did a backflip, a heel flick, where he nutmegged. I can't remember which West Ham player it was. Absolutely beautiful and brilliant and so well controlled. And also props to last season. One of the biggest criticisms was every time we went behind, we never looked like we were getting back into the game, and it's not happened a lot this season. But we went behind, we got back in, another 3 points, another myth to dispel. We're still 100% home record. Are we the only team in the Premier League with 100% home record, I think, still this season? You know, any title challenge or any decent season always going to be based on a really good, hard to break down fortress at home with great set of results there, and then picking up some good away wins. So we've started well at home again. Brighton away is going to be tough, but then we got Newcastle at home, also not an easy game. We'll be back for that. And yeah, listen, it's a great start, and let's hope it carries on.
Yeah, for sure. As you're saying, game at a time. Quick score prediction for Brighton?
Brighton,
we owe them one.
We do owe them. I mean, we didn't have our full first team out in the League Cup defeat here, which fortunately I couldn't get a ticket for, so I didn't have to watch it. But I have to say, it's, you know, there are no easy games in the Premiership now. They're really, I know it's an old cliche, but it's true, and we've got to give Brighton respect that they deserve. They had a good start to the season themselves. And that McAllister showed up in the World Cup. What a class player he is. And it's not going to be an easy game, but really we've got to go there. That's places we've got to go to and win. At places like Brighton, if we want to sustain this challenge.
I'm going to say 2-1 Arsenal. I'm going to stick my neck out and go 2-1 Arsenal for away at Brighton. I just think we're going to just. It seems to be this year. I think we're just going to shade it this year. I know they're in good form, even with the new manager, but I think if we play like we did in the second half, we'll win. If we play like we did in the first half, I'm less confident.